Continuing Chapter 4 of the autobiography of Emperor Haile Sellassie I, King of Kings, Lord of Lords, conquering land of the tribe of Judah, My Life in Ethiopia's Progress, Volume 2. These are the letters from the Union of African Natives Association to delegates of various nations, just showing the African American support for Ethiopia against the fascist Italian invaders. To the February 4th, 1937, to the President of the United States. Dear Your Excellency the President, in connection with the streamlined massacre of Ethiopians as the result of the bombing incident in Addis Ababa, the Executive Committee of the Union of African Natives Association, after holding an emergency meeting, has instructed me to send you a telegram, as you are the President of 13 million African Americans, to request you to be involved in the matter in person, so that you may preclude similar massacres of Ethiopians from happening again. Respectfully, BMH Savory, Chairman of the Executive Committee of the Union of the African Natives Association, and also to the President of the White House. In the presence of all its members, the Conference of the Union of African Natives Association has decided and given instructions to send this telegram to Your Excellency under the pretext of the bombing incident in Addis Ababa. The fascist government has detained about 2,000 Ethiopians under a state of emergency with intention of exterminating them. We beseech you to use your office, which has earned you worldwide popularity, for your impartial attitude and your well-known sense of justice, to oppose the fascist government, if not in the name of the United States of America, then as a personal act. Up to now, 1,400 people have been killed, Ethiopians, while such barbaric acts are being committed by the brutal regime of Italy. The rest of the world has remained a passive and bewildered spectator. So far, no word of opposition has been heard. Although all of us are citizens of America, we feel strongly and pitifully about what is being done to the people of the continent whence our ancestors come from. We solicit Your Excellency's support because of the fact that we have such a close relationship and racial affiliation, and knowing that there has never been an American president as compassionate and as benevolent in attitude toward mankind as Your Excellency. Since we have great confidence in Your Excellency, we believe that it may restrain the fascist government if you send some kind of message to the Italian ambassador in Washington. We would like to bring to your attention that the black race, the African race, has shown or has been enabled to show remarkable progress during your administration. We have shown that African Americans have souls and minds like Africans have souls and minds like everybody else, and have worked with those who have free and good attitudes toward mankind. When one section of mankind destroys the other, it is not unusual for the Union of African Natives Association, the social body which represents all our people, ranging from minors to seniors, to submit this appeal. We, the 13 million African Americans, wholeheartedly believe that Your Excellency is the only one who can save the lives of 2,000 innocent Ethiopian people who have been condemned to death for a crime they have not committed. We would like to express to Your Excellency the President that all churches are praying for the well-being and long life of Your Excellency. Respectfully, William Lloyd Imes, President, the Union of African Natives Association. And William Lloyd Imes, born December 29, 1889 in Memphis, Tennessee. He received a BA and MA from Fisk University in 1910 and 1912, respectively. Yeah, just get a still shot of that, and then I'll just turn to the next page. Kind of short on memory on my phone. And to the Lord of Canterbury, Lord Archbishop, London, England, Pax Vobiscum. Thousands of believers meeting in different places under the sponsorship of the Union of African Natives Association condemned the brutal act of the Italian fascists for spilling in vain the blood of Ethiopian Christians who are fighting a just war for the independence of their country. The association also expresses its deep regret over your silence as a representative and vicar of Christ, while heinous crimes are being inflicted on Ethiopia. Respectfully, William Lloyd Imes, President of the Union of African Natives Association. To the Prime Minister of Britain, 10 Downing Street, London, England. It is obvious that the people of Ethiopia who are loyal to their emperor and comprise 14 million of Africa's population are in a dangerous situation. This happened as a consequence of the reprisals which ensued after a bomb was thrown at Graziani. The news from Rome and Addis Ababa holds that the fascist plan is to exterminate the Ethiopians altogether. We were deeply disheartened at this. 14,000 people were shot dead in cold blood. Your Excellency is aware of the situation. Many thousands of church members congregated in different places by the Union of African Natives Association have condemned the fascist brutalities and resolved in favor of the dispatch of this telegram. We appeal in the name of God and for the sake of humanity to world public opinion to stop the fascists from their brutal killings of the Christian people of Ethiopia. We appeal to your Excellency in particular to air your opposition to the wanton extermination of a people who are heroically fighting to safeguard the independence of their country. To continue to inflict incessant and brazen crimes against African people is an obstacle to world peace and progress. We appeal to you to be prepared time and again to help and save Ethiopians. Please earn the immortal gratitude of the natives of Africa during these times of darkness and agony. Respectfully, William Lloyd Imes. We cited a few of these letters as example. This is His Majesty Emperor Haile Sellassie speaking now. We cited a few of these letters as examples in order to remember those to whom we were indebted, even though many others took part in our struggle. On Thursday, March 16th, 1937, Megabit 9th, 1929, Ethiopia calendar, the Dean of Winchester Church in England offered a prayer of commemoration in our presence in order to express it simply to us. In his prayers, he mentioned the names of our fallen nobles in the following order: Fitawari Alemayehu, Goshu Kilda Wellwell, the Jesmatch Afewerk Woldesimait of the Ogaden, Rasmulugeta Yegezu, the Jesmatch Wanderad Defabachu, Fitawari Ashanafi, Azaj Bayana Serawitu, the Jesmatch Mengesha Yelma, Betwarded Makonnen Dimsu, the Jesmatch Bene Wandema Genyehu, the Jesmatch Masesha Wolde, the Jesmatch Bacha Safo Abuna Petros, who was a priest of the church who was executed for resisting. The Jesmatch Fikre Mariam, the Jesmatch Juan Bewasin Casa, the Jesmatch Abera Casa, the Jesmatch Asfa Watson Casa, the Jesmatch Gebra Mariam Gari, the Jesmatch Beina Merid, and Rasdes Tadamtu. He also raised in prayer the names of John Melly, Gerald Bourgogne, and Everett Colson, who, though non-belligerents, lost their lives while helping Ethiopia. We subsequently felt that it was our duty to protest the Yekati 12 massacre, whether or not the Geneva Assembly gave my statement due consideration. The Lion of Judah, Emperor Haile Sellassie, elect of God, Emperor of Ethiopia. His Excellency Monsieur Joseph Avenol, General Secretary of the League of Nations Geneva. His Majesty speaking, I ask Your Excellency's good offices to pass the following to all the members of the League of Nations. First, in violation of the covenant of the League of Nations from the pitiful day on which barbarous Italy invaded my country, The ill-fated people of Ethiopia have suffered from countless atrocities, brutality, and misery. Today, those who died in battle are luckier than those who are suffering from recurrent torture at the hands of the brutal enemy. As a result of our deep sorrow, I appealed to the League of Nations and to the whole world about our misery and despair. Nevertheless, until now, our voices have not been heard. The nations have blocked their ears to our lamentations. However, hope has not vanished from our hearts. Had you been aware of the brutalities of our attackers, you would have given us a fair judgment. Today, the invader has doubled his barbaric acts, outraged by the prolonged opposition. The Italian government aggressively has continued its brutal policy of exterminating a people who depended on the promise of the Charter of the League of Nations to protect their freedom and to gain the goodwill of the world, and who believed that international agreements would be respected. I have not cited individual acts of brutality. I have restrained myself from accusing anybody without having undeniable and concrete evidence, preferring to verify what I have heard. Second, I present my cause to the League of Nations and to the whole world about 3 savage acts committed in Addis Ababa and its vicinity in February 1937. These comprise, first, the merciless executions of Ras Desta, Dejezmach Bene, and thousands of other nobles who were killed after being captured in the battlefield. Secondly, the 3-day massacre of many thousands of people following the assassination attempt on Marshal Graziani. Third, a London newspaper has estimated at 6,000 the number of Ethiopian people who were deliberately massacred. Permit me to attest that the number reported to me is much higher than this estimate. All these atrocities were done in violation of the international rules governing warfare on land as defined in the 4th section of the Hague Treaty of 1907 about conventional warfare. The signatories of the Hague Treaty, out of their enthusiasm for supporting the ever-expanding obligations of modernization and the concomitant interest of mankind, resolved clearly to spell out and specify the laws regarding warfare. Consequently, along with the customs of the civilized nations, natural human laws, and according to the pressure of world public conscience, they declare that all people in belligerent nations should be governed by international law. Third, the nobles who were captured on the battlefield were killed immediately. This constitutes an unjust execution which violates Article 4 of the Hague Treaty of 1907. Prisoners of war are in the custody of the enemy government and are not the property of the men or soldiers who captured them, other than the money, weapons, horses, and documents given them for military purposes. Prisoners should retain all personal articles. They deserve to be treated in a humane and compassionate way. Article 3 of the treaty forbids the execution or wounding of an enemy who has surrendered and has rendered himself defenseless by handing over his weapons. These punishments were premeditated acts of atrocity. The government in Rome did all of these in public in order to confirm its policy of the politics of terror. In December 1936, the 3 sons of Ras Kasa, Dejezmach Abera, Dejezmach I Bewosen, and Dejezmach Asfawosen were killed in cold blood so as to terrorize the Ethiopian people. These nobles were entitled to the fair and compassionate treatment which the Hague Treaty and civilized nations granted to any fighter exposed to such situations as a result of war. And we'll leave it at that and continue in the next part, and continue chapter 4 in the next video on His Majesty's 4th point. Shalom, Yeshua, Shalom. Haile Sellassie.